Welcome back to NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee, coming to you from the Ochsner Health Podcast Studio out here in Irvine, California. We got a great show for you guys today. We're going to talk about where things stand with Justin Simmons and the Saints' pursuit of him. And we're going to get into some stuff that's going on at camp, break down all the action, and continue to get you ready for this weekend's first preseason game against the Arizona Cardinals. If you aren't signed up for NewOrleans.Football at this point, I don't know what you're doing. You can get these shows early and live on our website. You get the overtime segment after, all of our news, all of our analysis, all of our insight, everything you need to know about the Saints, and entry into a great community of other Saints fans. It's 20% off with the code CAMP24. It's $9 a month. Take that 20% off. It's $7.20 for the first month. I guarantee you that it is worth it. And you know what else is always worth it? Checking out Matt Bowers for your car needs. He's got the greatest selection of new and used cars. They got a ton of locations all over the region. Make sure you check him out. He'll get you a great car at a great price, and you will have a great car buying experience. All right, we're going to hit this show. We're going to get to this quick word from our sponsors, and we will be right back after this. Ochsner Health inspires healthier lives and stronger communities through a combination of standard-setting expertise, quality, and connection not found anywhere else in the region. To learn more about how Ochsner empowers people to get well and stay well, visit ochsner.org. Long live you. The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out.
Choose your lucky symbol. Play beginner's luck. Win up to $5,000. Let's Taco Bout Bingo. Play Taco Bout Bingo. Win up to $50,000. Looking to triple your cash? Play 77777. Top prize of $177,777. Play the new August games from the lottery.
Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. Their agents are born and raised in the area and understand our community's unique needs and the homeowners insurance crisis our residents are currently in. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. They know your time is valuable, which is why they work diligently to provide you with the quotes as soon as possible. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. When we couldn't find someone to insure our house because of the big oak tree growing over top, Chabert worked until they found someone that would work with us and give us the protection that we need to feel safe in our new home. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hard Hide Punch Tool Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. NewOrleans.Football is proud to be sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Make sure you check out their location on Veterans Boulevard. All right, let's get into the show.
Welcome to the Ochsner Health Podcast Studio. It is now time for our first segment presented by New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. Look, last night the Saints announced, and you kind of broke it that
Saints didn't announce it.
No, Saints didn't announce it, but yeah, you broke that the Saints were bringing in probably the top free agent left on the market in Justin Simmons. Kind of where are they at right now and what's happening with it?
Well, I mean, he's visiting. He got here this afternoon. Came in for a physical. He's going to meet with Team Brass, and they're going to do the thing tonight where they take him out to dinner, and we've seen that's kind of their recruiting philosophy. They take out, some guys in the front office, maybe a key coach or two. Tyrann Mathieu's been part of those before. Yep. They're going to take some people out. They're going to go to dinner. They're going to talk to them, and they're going to try to sell them on the vision of being here. I know the money situation with him and the Saints. There was a distance at one point. It was something that was on the table. I think they were waiting for the value to get to a spot where it was kind of more comfortable for them to fit him into the fabric of this. I mean, obviously, you're in the training camp now. Justin Simmons had his number. That number has to change. I mean, it has to if he wants to play because it's not going to be there. And for a little good minute, he was kind of holding up the market there. Some guys were signing, but like a lot of them were kind of waiting for him to set the market, and then they stopped waiting and they all signed. So it's kind of the music's going to stop and where the chair is going to be. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. I heard there's a little bit of work to do on it to get completely on the same page. There's still a little bit of separation there, but they have done a really good job of recruiting players, recruiting coaches. The guys they've wanted, they've typically gotten. Like, we have not heard about a whole pitch that failed yet under the Dennis Allen regime as far as like this aspect of it. So if they're committed, they typically get the people they want. I feel like Justin Simmons being here is obviously a sign that whatever distance there is between them, it's not that wide. Like, they know his number, he knows their number.
Yeah.
Like, there's a resolution point there. So I think there's a good chance of this thing getting done if everybody leaves this dinner and they feel good about it. I doubt we hear about it tonight. I mean, it's probably something that's I kind of didn't think Chase Young was going to sign on the day he did either. So sometimes they happen a little bit faster than expected. But I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't happen today and it maybe takes a couple of days or whatever. But that's where it's at right now. I mean, they're on the full out blitz, and they've done a good job of getting those guys.
I have so many different thoughts. First of all, you mentioned Tyron going out to dinner with Chase Young. Tyron would sell Justin Simmons. I mean, Tyron and DeMario and Cam talking about the culture they built here. I can't imagine any veteran defensive player wouldn't want to be a part of that group. And I think Justin Simmons is obviously interested if he's willing to fly out here and take this visit. What's interesting about this is, I covering the Saints, I'd be very excited for what he could mean for this team. I think it would give this team a boost. I think it would make me more excited to watch this team. In that sense, it feels like a no-brainer. It feels like a missing piece for this team. They let Marcus May go, and they left the other safety position to be a question mark that has not been answered yet. And I would feel so much better about this defense with this signing. He's been the top 2 or 3 free agents on the market since like May, since before the draft. But we also applauded the Saints all off season long for showing restraint, not signing any 30-year-old guys. The one guy they spent money on, Chase Young, is 25. They let veteran backups go. They let veteran backup quarterbacks go. They saved a little money. They're not just investing in this year because, what is their ceiling this year, 10 or 11 wins? So I'm a little torn philosophically, but I think the fact that they didn't like overpay and like go do this the first week of April, and that I assume they would get him at a really good rate. I mean, you can't help but be excited. And if we went back to the beginning, if they had signed Justin Simmons and Chase Young in the first week of free agency, people probably would have talked about him different all off season long.
Yeah. So the agenda is they have their walkthrough today. Then they're going to go to dinner tonight. Cali time around 8, so that's 10 back home. So yeah, that's going to be where it stands. So it's going to be late. It's going to be a late night. I doubt they hear it. Anything tonight.
Sign well desserts on the way, right?
He wants to come here. Like my feeling is that he wants to come here. Everything I've heard is that he wants to come here. He's here because he wants to come here. Like it's the dollar amount. It's the dollar amount.
Joe Woods was his defensive coordinator in Denver. Marcus Robinson was his position coach in Denver. He knows these guys. They know him. Yeah.
Another thing, Simmons can possibly bring like just a whole nother aspect to the safety position. So where does your win total go if they do sign Simmons?
I don't know that he changes my win total because I already felt good about the defense, but it's good to plug one more hole. I mean, building on a strength in the secondary, filling in a question mark at that second safety position, which I think we thought was the biggest weakness in the whole secondary. No, it doesn't solve our question marks at right tackle and the offensive line, and no, it doesn't solve our question marks at wide receiver and tight end. And do they have that big receiver? But, if this goes, it would make me feel like this defense is legit. And here's yet another guy contributing to that. And just, the buy-in. Like you said, all of a sudden, if you're like, all right, take last year's team and add Chase Young, Justin Simmons, and Clint Kubiak in this offensive system, how can you not think they'll be better than they were last year? Obviously, I've still been holding steady with 8 wins as my prediction. I'm not sure Justin Simmons switches me to 9 wins, but part of that is the schedule and things like that. How could you not think it'd be a better team than last year if you add one more piece like this?
It shores everything up. Like, it makes it. I don't know that safety. I don't think we felt like safety was like a huge
We weren't
hole.
scared, but it was.
It felt fine.
It felt like
fine. Yeah.
they can mask that.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like they've got a good player there. It felt like they can mask that.
Yeah. It's like it was okay.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, all right, they'll piece it together. It'll be all right. The secondary's really good. Tyron's really good. Put another guy back there. Rotate him a little bit. Abram has some skills. Howden has some skills. Will Harris has some skills. Roger Teamer has some skills. Mix and match, dime package this guy, nickel package this guy, first down Abram. Like, it felt like there was a way to kind of maybe just piece something together and be okay with it. Adding this just, it takes you aren't looking at it, you aren't asking questions. I don't think Justin Simmons at 30 years old is the guy that just kind of was 5 years ago, like when he was maybe the best safety in the NFL. I think he's still incredibly good. I think he's a very, very good player. Second team All-Pro last 3 years, are deserving of that. I think he's a guy that does everything well. I think he plays free well. I think he plays in the box well. I think he covers the slot well. I think he's good against the run. I think he's good against the pass. Kind of like Tyron. It's like kind of like a mixed match of everything. Like, Tyron can do every single thing on the field.
Yeah.
He's a plus in every category, and you add up all those pluses and it makes him a great player. I mean, so I think if you get two of those and you get, Simmons is, I think, kind of the same player a little bit, but bigger. You get those two guys, you can mix and match. You can drop one back, play one in the box, cover the slot one snap. The other guy covers the slot the next snap. One's blitzing, one's dropping. They're both dropping. Like, they can both come up. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do where there's not anything where you have to say, like, all right, Malcolm Jenkins is better in run support, so, like, we're going to lean that way, but move him back sometimes so it's believable and it's a little bit harder to read. Like, it's truly like you can do anything with these two guys. They're both ball hawks. Like, they both know how to make plays. They're dynamic.
Yeah.
30 interceptions over the last 5 years for Simmons, and what was it, 24 for Tyron or something like that?
Yeah.
They're both top 3 in the league over the last 5 years. You're going to be a really dynamic defense with
he
both
had
of them.
6 in 12 games just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Even while he was battling injuries all season.
So,
he's a ball hawk. Yeah.
To answer the long roundabout way to get to the
you're
question, does it make me change anything? I don't know, but it makes me feel more sturdy about anything I was believing. I would put it that way. I think that the offense still has an incredible amount of questions to answer, but defensively, like, you put him on there, I'm thinking, before it was like, maybe they'll be top 10. Like, they're absolutely top 10 and maybe even a little bit better. But if you're only needing to score 23 points a week to win, like, you're in a much better situation.
Let me ask you this. I feel the same way. It sturdies my opinion on the things I liked about this team already. But what I was saying is, I mean, I really did like, I'm mildly conflicted, but I really did like their approach to this offseason. Like, let's not spend any money that is on 2024 only. All of our investments, no future draft picks got traded, no, mortgaging the future on contracts and anything like that. But I kind of feel like if this signals anything, maybe it signals they feel pretty good about the team and they're like, yeah, it's worth another $6 million investment in this year's team. Maybe we can win a division. If that's all it costs and that's the difference between winning the NFC South or not, I'll allow it. Where are you guys on that? Where are you guys on spending money on a 30-year-old on a 1-year deal right now? Any 30-year-old.
Yeah, 1-year deal. I'm cool with one. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not a significant commitment. 1-year deal is great. I would even be cool with 2. 2's fine. I mean, you need building blocks still. Like, and they aren't ever going to fold. That's the thing. They aren't ever going to fold. They aren't going to fold. They aren't going to tear it down. They aren't going to try to start over. If they do, it's because the season has failed spectacularly and somebody else is at the helm. I mean, that's the only way it happens. And I would rather see them compete for the division title than just crash and burn. Because, like, I don't think...
Because they're not going to crash and burn.
They aren't going to crash and
You'd
burn.
You'd rather see them win 10 games than 8 games.
They aren't going to crash and burn to a top 3 pick. So that's the thing.
Yeah,
like, if you're going to crash and burn to a top 3 pick,
Yeah.
I can get behind that. In November, I'll start skipping games and go watch, the top college quarterback prospects instead. Like, I'll entertain myself like that and have great coverage that way. But I don't want to watch a 6-7 win team like just kind of mutter through a season. So if it helps them get there, yeah, I'm cool with it. I don't think it's going to cost a ton of money. Right. I mean, the market is just collapsed to a point that, I don't know, $7 million. Like, I don't think it's going to be a huge sum of money. I think at one point he was looking for 15. That ain't gonna happen. So, yeah, I'm cool with it. I'm fine with that. I like them. Like they already got a foot in the pool. So unless you're pulling that foot out, like I don't care. Like if you're putting a little bit more in, I don't think it's going 2 feet in on this. I wouldn't want to see him go 2 feet in on this roster, but I think it's just kind of like if you're submerged to the knee, now you're submerged to the thigh. Like,
yeah. Oh, and here's the other thing: they saved money on guys like backup quarterback. They didn't pay an Andy Dalton type or even a Jameis Winston type. They saved money on like Andrus Peat. They saved money on like Isaac Yiadom. If you're saving money on your backups and your 30th guy on the roster, this would be worthy spending. This guy would make a difference.
Let me put it like this: like I'm fake as hell. Like anytime, like they should be more financially feasible or financially responsible. And then you put an exciting player out there, and I'm like, yeah, like I don't care. I want to watch that guy. I want to watch that guy. Like I want to watch him play. I want to see what happens.
I think the Saints operate that way.
If you give and this is the kind of guy like. Dennis Allen is a great defensive coach. You give him this type of player, 2 of them, like and his defenses have been defined by that back end the whole time. You give him 2 guys that are like really flexible, really dynamic, really can do a lot of different things.
Smart.
I'm excited to see what that looks like. So yeah, I want to watch it. I mean, I want the season to be to be more interesting. Like so, yeah, I'm cool with it, and I don't think it's going to cost a ton of money.
No, I'm on the same train with you. I feel like, hey, if you're going to do it, do it. That's the money at that price point where it's at right now is not going to sink the ship. So go in, and then you're coming with a proven product where DA can just build on top of that instead of building it up from the ground up. So yeah, I definitely agree. I think if you're going to do it, just go in and do it.
Yeah. So dinner after 8, meeting with Simmons will probably not be decided today. There will be players there, so they're doing the pitch. They're doing the full rollout. It's worked every other time. Let's see if it works this time.
See some magic again. One thing that you brought up in your explanation was that you don't feel like safety is an immediate need. That's just something on the team where it's not like a glaring hole at. That's going to go into our next segment presented by Aaron Rose. What do you think is the glaring need on this team in terms of positions?
A right tackle.
Right tackle. And it's not just right tackle. Look, we talked about masking. All right. So you feel okay about safety being a weakness when you love your corners and you love your other safety and you love your nickel. And you're like, all right, they can get by. If I felt better about the offensive line as a whole, I'd be like, sure, you can have one guy that's a big question mark. It's not just right tackle. And actually, Trevor Penning hasn't been like imploding. Maybe he'll win that job. But what bothers me is I don't think anyone's pushing him. Yeah. And if Tali Fuaga were to miss a game at left tackle, I don't feel good about any of their options at left tackle. Like, I feel like Trevor Penning is the second best tackle on the team right now, and that's scary as hell. So I wish there was a Justin Simmons offensive tackle out there.
No,
that's number 1 for me.
For sure.
The other one is probably the pass catcher. Like Hunter Renfrow is out there still, and he's probably going to be free at some point. Derek Carr likes working with him, but to me, it's still they've got smaller guys, they've got shifty guys, they've got quick guys, they've got speedy guys, and the camp sensation has been Mason Tipton, and I even like Samson Nakua, and they're all built the same way. Like, I wish this Michael Thomas free agent that's still sitting out there was like the type of guy they could add to this team for the right price right now. That's the other one for me. That man, I wish there was somebody that Derek Carr was going to throw to 50 times. And, maybe Juwan Johnson will be part of that solution, but not enough. I mean, I wish they had their go-to guy in traffic. That's the other one for me.
Yeah, the other receiver. It's the other receiver, and it's the tackle. I agree with everything you just said here. I don't even know if there's really anything else to present. Like, I feel okay about everything else to some degree. Like, if you dangled a tight end or something, okay, I could get behind that. But I feel pretty good about it. I mean, maybe another guard. Another guard would be one. But I think if you had the tackle, you can piece together the guard. It's just kind of the being weak at the 2 spots.
I wish you were doing that at only 1 spot.
That's a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah. So I think those are definitely the ones. And they're glaring too, though. I do kind of like, and we're going to get to this right after this and the next topic, I think. Like, I do kind of like some of the stuff Cedric Wilson has been doing. And I think it kind of has alleviated that a little bit. But overall, definitely still a major need for me. It's something that I think needs to be defined in the preseason. unfortunately, I don't know that it's going to be, in high def. Like I think it's a 480p situation, and they need to get the 4K.
You got to take the RCA out and put the HDMI in, man.
Yeah.
But like you just said, and Nick previewed just now, that'll get us into our next segment presented by Hard High Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. A.T. Perry, we talked about him last show and how he needed to have a big game in Arizona. He's taken the steps toward that because he had a huge practice today, going in one-on-ones and in team. So did Cedric Wilson. He was Derek Carr's go-to target. But a guy that we were high on throughout this camp, Mason Tipton, he went down. He went down with a hamstring injury today. He had to go off the field. So kind of where do you see the pecking order going into this preseason game? You mentioned Nakua earlier.
Well, it's a shame for Tipton because I think this game was going to be heavy volume for him. He might have started. He might have played 3 quarters. And if he got a hamstring injury today, unless it was like just super, super precautionary, it feels like now he's not going to get that showcase. I don't think we would have seen Chris Olave. We're not going to see Rashid Shaheed, who's hurt. If we see Chris Olave, it'll be for a short time. So, yeah, Cedric Wilson's going to get his big chance. Equanimous St. Brown's not going to play. He's been hurt. Bud Means is not going to play. He's been hurt.
Yeah.
Samson Nakua might ball out in this game. I said the other day, it took me forever to get to it, but I think Dallin Holker's going to catch 7 passes in this game when those quarterbacks just look for the easy pass to get going. But, I agree. I think Cedric Wilson was already penciled in as my third guy. I think if you add up everything we've seen, different guys have taken turns, but if you add up OTAs, minicamp, and training camp, I think Cedric Wilson is still my third guy. I think Mason Tipton is really going to make this team as long as this injury isn't lingering, and A.T. Perry's got to fight, to beat out other guys. So, I think they've got their 5, but they're still missing something. There's no question about it. They're missing what we just described, and I don't think Hunter Renfrow would solve that. I wish there was a Hunter Renfrow type that filled the void we're talking about, but right. I don't think that's Hunter Renfrow. I said Cedric Wilson can block. It's not necessarily what he came into this league doing. He can block. I wish they had that guy that was a perfect fit for that mold, but what do you think?
Yeah, Chris obviously number 1, Rashid obviously number 2. After that, I think it's up in the air, definitely. I usually do this thing, locks, near locks, on the fence in long shots. I would have Olave, Carr, and Cedric Wilson, I think, as locks. I don't know if I got another near lock because
right.
And these are hard definitions wow, he got cut. Would. I don't think that qualifies for 18.
Cedric is probably a near lock instead of a lock, but they invested a little money in him. He's a pro.
There's nothing else behind him. If you want to separate them, you could put them. But those are the 3 that I think are there. Any of the other ones I think could get cut. That's really the point here. Is I think I wouldn't be mind blown if AT got cut. I would be a little mind blown if Cedric Wilson got cut. It'd be wow, what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
And he's outplayed everybody else. If AT got cut, I would be damn, but not a mind blowing thing. So he's probably on the fence. Bub Memes is probably on the fence, and then I would say the rest of them are maybe separated a little bit. But I don't think there's a huge difference between. And Tipton's on the fence, but Stanley Morgan, I could see finding a way on the team. I could see
special teams would be a huge part of that. Though,
I think Kevin Austin could find his way on the team. Yep. He's made some plays. St. Brown's out of sight, out of mind right now. Unfortunately,
he was working out with trainers on the side today. He needs to get back. He's got no other choice but to play in these last 2 preseason games and make his case. Yeah,
Nakua, I think has the possibility of making noise. I don't know if he will. I wouldn't predict that he will, but I think he has the ability to, and I could see that becoming a thing. But I could see any of these guys after those top 3. I could see anything happening. No, if you're asking me to pick my 5 today, it's Olave, Shaheed, Wilson, Perry, Tipton, I guess. If I have to take 5, I kind of want Bub Means on the team because I think he can block a little bit more.
I don't think he'll play, but I put him on at the end of spring and predicted he'd be one of those guys that's sort of the red shirt deal like Nick Saldivari last year, healthy and active every week. We can already have him typed in every Sunday at 10:30 in the morning,
Perry needed today. He needed today and he needs a game. And I think I have a hunch that maybe he's a gamer. Maybe he gets out there and you see it and you see more of it and people are going to be like, what the hell were you guys talking about? Well, It really was quiet for a while. The coach called him out. Like,
and even when the coach called him out, he said he's doing fine. He's doing okay. Like, he didn't say he's a disaster.
No, it was just like it was incredibly underwhelming the whole time. So yeah, I think that's probably how I would stack it up.
Morgan is one of those. I think I'm going to be weighing Morgan against an extra safety or an extra, like he's more of a Justin Hardy than he is a vying for the 5th or 6th receiver.
He makes some plays, man.
Yeah, he can make the team, though, even if they don't plan to use him in their top 4 on offense. Yeah.
Like, I could see him getting a couple snaps there. He makes some plays, but
does.
I mean, he's not a difference maker. That's why. Yeah,
Keith Kirkwood. He could be the Keith Kirkwood type.
They could just go get Keith Kirkwood if it comes to that. Like, he'll probably end up being available at some point. But AT, AT's got to make the team, and AT's got to perform. Like, he has to. Like, it changes. That's one of those things that I think changes my outlook on the season. If you tell me he's viable, like, I feel more confident about everything. If you tell me he's not, I feel less confident about everything. And Cedric's been okay. Like, it's not a knock on him. It's just I want to see someone better in that number 3 role.
Of course. Yeah, and that was the most troubling thing kind of with A.T. Perry. We came in with so many expectations of him because we saw him flash at certain points last season. Whenever he would get in the game, he had a couple of touchdowns. So we're like, okay, this guy is going to be the third on the ladder. But he's kind of slipped a little bit, but he started getting his groove back today, and I was really happy to see that. That was really encouraging. Like, even when they bought Callaway in as a body, to put out there, I was like, whoa, Callaway with the teams that he was rolling with, he was catching the football. But I think AT, in terms of having that pecking order, AT would have to be hovering around that 4th spot because Cedric Wilson is good at so many different things.
I just want to see AT average 35 yards a game. Like, if he does that, I feel a lot better about it.
I swear I was picturing a catch. That's what it looked like last year, 35 yards a catch.
just a game, 35 a game. Like, I feel like you're in a much better spot if he gives you 35 yards a game, and that's not a huge number. Nope. Ends up being 595, I think, end of the season. That's not a huge number, but it's a productive number. And if he can give you that, I feel a lot better about the offense.
Thanks. Well, we're going to hit a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue analyzing training camp and hit the Martin's question of the day. Keep it locked to NewOrleans.Football.
Total Maintenance is one of the largest locally owned home and commercial service providers in South Louisiana. They were founded in 1980 and serve the greater New Orleans and Baton Rouge markets. And Total Maintenance wants to show some love to our NOF listeners. They have a membership program that gets you 2 tune-up visits for AC and heating, as well as club membership discounts of 15% on all repairs, half off of all diagnostic charges, and 3-year warranties on most repairs for membership clients. This is usually priced at the low price of $24.95 a month per system, but if you tell Total Maintenance that you found them through NOF, they'll lower the price to $20.95 per month per system for as long as you keep the membership active. It will never increase. Total Maintenance has a tune-up special running this summer for $79, down from the normal price of $179. This is a one-time offer for one system only. They also offer a free diagnostic on second opinions on units deemed to be unrepairable, and they offer free estimates for replacements as well as commercial maintenance programs. Services include AC and heating service and replacement, electrical service, plumbing service, as well as generator service and installation. They are Total Maintenance. Find them at tm-ac.com or give them a call at 504-841-3300, or if you're in the Baton Rouge area, 225-480-1000. Martin Wine and Spirits is home to a selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and much, much more. They are family owned and operated since 1946 and specialize in wine, spirits, gourmet food, gift baskets, catering, and tasting events. They have many locations, so they're never too far away. You can check them out in Metairie, New Orleans, Mandeville, and Baton Rouge, or if it's more convenient, you can always shop online. Whether you're a wine novice or a seasoned collector, you'll enjoy the Martin Wine and Spirit experience.
Shrimp Remoulade combos are back at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. Zesty shrimp remoulade served with fried shrimp, catfish, or soft-shell crab starting at $10.99. Or try one of our spring specials, catfish Lafitte or lemon caper fish with crab meat, now at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company.
There's nothing quite like the feeling of stepping into your dream home. At Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union, we can help make that dream a reality with a team dedicated to you. When you partner with Jefferson Financial, you do so for the life of the loan. Having a single point of contact when questions arise is invaluable. Our experts are here to guide you every step of the way. There's no better time to invest in your future. Apply online at jeffersonfinancial.org. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Whether you are a local New Orleanian or a fan in town for the game, get your pre- and post-game fired up at Aaron Rose. Local chaos and local love for the black and gold. Wake up and live with daily drink specials, mimosas, screwdrivers, Bloody Marys, and hot or frozen Irish coffees, all just $3 or $4 between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Aaron Rose, half a block from Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, 811 Conti Street.
Welcome back to the Ochsner Health Podcast Studio here in Irvine, California. It is now time for our next segment presented by Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. Look, a player who we haven't really talked much about since the first week of training camp, Alvin Kamara. Nick, you noted today that he was involved a lot in the passing game. Kind of what have we seen from him in this new offense so far?
I thought he was more involved today. I mean, it was the most involved I felt like we've seen him in a training camp practice. Not that he hasn't been involved, but he had a lot of carries and he was highly targeted in the passing game, especially in the red zone. They completed 2 passes down there. He was a receiver on both of them. I do believe that we're going to see him more in a role more reminiscent of 2017, 2018, 2019 when they were using him out more. They put him in the slot more. They put him out wide more. They targeted him more in those spots. And, since 2020, that's kind of like dissipated a lot. Not evaporated, but dissipated. And I think we're going to see that kind of expand out a little bit more. Just with the way they like to use their guys. Like I've talked a lot about, kind of how they like to use heavier personnel sets. And you can still get that flexibility by moving guys around and creating, those types of looks, spread out looks with different personnel. He's somebody that I think can move around a lot and do a lot of different things. We've seen it. He still has it. He's a good route runner. I think that's going to become, I think he's going to be more dynamic Alvin that we saw earlier in his career, as opposed to like the between the tackles kind of, more traditional type of running back we've seen the last 4 seasons. So I'm excited to kind of see what they do with him.
Yeah, I don't want to besmirch Pete Carmichael Jr. at all, but it's funny, like all of the things where we were kind of like,
it started with Sean. The change in Alvin's role started with Sean.
But like all of the things that in recent years where we were kind of beating our heads against the wall, like it seems so much more obvious that you should use Taysom Hill this way, or it seems so obvious you should use Rashid Shaheed this way, or it seems so obvious you should use Kamara this way. It feels like this new offensive staff has come in with fresh eyes, looked at all these players, and come to, not saying we're the smartest people in the world, but come to the common sense conclusion. It's like, oh, here's a good way to use Taysom Hill. Oh, here's a good way to use Alvin Kamara. I mean, that's what they're showing us now. Now, maybe they'll find out on their own why, like, it's not as simple as that seems, or maybe those are the right answers. But you're absolutely right. Now, to be fair to Sean and Pete, part of the reason why Alvin became the between the tackles guy is they just, he became the only guy they had who was effective. Like, they didn't have any other running backs for a while. And they're going to have to prove that's not the case now. I mean, we're going to have to see something from Jamal Williams or Jordan Mims or Kendry Miller if he can get healthy, so that they don't have to use Alvin as their guy all the time. But if they have the luxury of doing that, one thing I thought was interesting is they had that live 2-minute drill the other day where Carr got the ball down to the 1 on that deep pass to Mason Tipton, and they brought in Jamal Williams for the 1-yard touchdown plunge. Jamal didn't get to do that as much last year as he obviously had done earlier in his career, and I think they've looked at him, and as of now, I think Jamal Williams and Taysom Hill are going to do a lot of the dirty work inside, so Alvin can do a lot more of this stuff outside, and Jordan Mims for that matter.
No, I think when the new coaching staff came in, they just sat down and was like, man, we have this whole chest of toys that we can apply in so many different manners.
I don't know if they have a whole chest, but they have 4 or 5 really good ones.
Right. They have people that they feel like they can, pull the most out of, that they can maximize their talent in this offense and things like that. Because like we were watching Team earlier, and I writing down in my notebook 4 arrow and then to whatever receiver there it is, and I kept on writing 4 arrow 41, 4 arrow 41, and he kept on getting out there. But if the line is able to just block. That's what it needs. Just block.
Yeah, that's the key. That's a little bit of a key to all this, isn't
then
it?
Things can just, things can get their maximum potential. I think this is really encouraging and exciting on this offense.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I would say they have three of those guys though, like three very versatile type of toys, so to speak. I mean,
Four. I'm Team Taysom. I'm Team Taysom.
I'm giving them Taysom,
Okay.
Alvin, and I think Shaheed is kind of a guy that you can play around.
Oh,
with
you
a
weren't
little
counting a lot of it. Okay, I see
yeah,
what you're saying.
no, like a
You're talking
versatile
about the
type of guy that can do a
versatility.
lot of different stuff. I mean, I think they're going to try to get the ball in Olave's hands on some like end arounds and stuff like that, 4-3 speed. And I think they're going to try to do that, but I think that's probably a little bit more in Shaheed's wheelhouse. But yeah, I mean, I think those guys are interesting. And then if Horvath wins that fullback battle, he's somebody else that can do some stuff. So there's a handful of people that I think they can do some different things with. But I think we're going to see more out of Alvin than we did in previous seasons.
DA even kind of talked about it the other day when he talked about, Alvin's versatility and stuff. You guys
No, I was just listening. But I was going to say, I wish we were having these conversations about Juwan Johnson too. He's a guy I'm curious to know if this staff would have a plan for him. What a shame for his career that he's missing out on this summer, because he's a guy who needed them to figure out what to do with
Here's
him.
something crazy though. Like, so in 17, Alvin had 148 snaps at wide receiver positions.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, 45. Let's see what it was in 21.
Yeah, they really went the wrong
About
direction
100,
with
about 110. I mean, so like
it's a sharp
the
decline.
dip started before. What was it in 18?
He was still on pace for like 98
170,
catches.
175. So like for whatever reason, even when Sean was here, like it started dipping.
It was when they didn't
never
have anyone else they trusted in the backfield, and they started
You can still get
wasting him in that role.
You can still get him out though. You can still motion him out and do some different things. Like I don't understand. I'll never understand why that went away, because I thought he was so good at that. I mean, his very first game of his NFL career, he ran an out and up. Like, and I ended up like, and he got targeted on it. And I like looked through the whole league. I can't remember what it was, but like I remember seeing that route and like being blown away by it, and like looking at how many like running backs from split out position had run it and actually gotten like targeted and caught a pass on it. And at that distance, and like it was like 4 or 5 guys like over the last 5 seasons. Like he's such a versatile weapon, and he can do that stuff, and he has the polish. Like I want to see him get the ball in space. Like you can get him the ball out there if he's catching a pass and he's being defended by somebody over here, and you aren't having the congestion of the linebackers and the D line.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like that's where Alvin, even if you, and I don't think he's lost a lot of speed, but like he definitely still has the leg drive. He can still break tackles. If you get him out there, he can break those tackles and do those things. He can, the Green Bay play, there's so many of them that just kind of come to mind, where it's him out in space and he's not taking these hits from these big dudes. And like, if you let him do that, he's going to make plays.
Listen to this. This is a very simple number. Attempts. Up until 21, Sean Payton's last year, up until 21, he never had more than 194 in a season. He averaged just under 13 a game in his biggest season ever. And then in 2021, Payton gave him 240 carries in just 13 games. It was almost 19 carries a game. That is not what you want to do with Alvin Kamara.
Mm-hmm.
They ran him into a wall over and over again. 19 carries a game. It's crazy. And he had never had 13 before. It went from 13 to 19. That's crazy.
Wow. Really interested to see what happens this season. But now it's time for our Martin Wine and Spirits question of the day. Martin's is home to a wide selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin's, so much more than just wine. Today's question comes from Giorgio. Giorgio asks, is there potential for Penning to be beat out by someone? If so, who?
That's a problem. I mean, it's a real problem. Like the two guys that they're trying out there are Oli Udoh and Landon Young, and I would say we've been less impressed by both of them than we've been by Penning so far this camp. Who else is in that mix? I mean, they drafted the rookie 7th rounder.
Ezra.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, who else is even trying out at right tackle?
So here would be my answer to the thing.
They had Justin Herron, and he went on IR.
Yeah.
So my answer to the question, like I don't think it's I don't think anyone's beating out Trevor. Will Trevor lose the job? Trevor has to lose the job because there's nobody good enough to beat him out. Nobody's like it's not like, man, they got to get him in there. Like the only young guy that you kind of see kind of making a push anywhere on the line is Hergel a little bit. He's the only one that where it's kind of like, I wonder if they could get him some opportunity. I don't see anyone on the offensive line at right tackle where it's like, I wonder if they could get him more snaps. They need to get him more snaps.
Yeah.
Boy, I'd be interested to see him with the starters to see how he does. Like, there's no thought of that at all. So, yeah, I don't think someone's beating him out. Will Trevor lose the job? I think it's possible at some point this season Trevor could lose the job. I don't think he loses it before week 1, though. But maybe these preseason games will be a disaster. There was a series today that was rough, and then I thought he bounced back a little bit later in the practice. But there was like a 9-play series. He gave up 2 sacks and a run stuff in 9 plays. I mean, that's tough. Like, if he's doing that in the preseason, he absolutely could get replaced at some point. Like, if that becomes a consistent ratio for him. But I think they're going to give him every opportunity to prove himself, and I think they want him on the field, and I think the staff wants him on the field. He's obviously the guy with the most potential, but he's got to clean it up enough to where it's not a liability.
I mean, Udo's probably the answer to the question, and to be fair to him, he had the major injury in week 2 last year and was still rehabbing all throughout OTAs and minicamp. So when they brought him in for training camp, it was like really the first time he played football in like 11 months.
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell the staff feels good about him because Kubiak coached him and Dennison coached him in Minnesota. They chose him, and they play him at left tackle. They play him at right tackle. They play him at right guard. Today when they were doing their heavy sets, he was the 6th jumbo tight end, the first time we've seen that. So they seem to trust Udo. I feel like if Trevor Penning is to lose it, Udo's the guy who gets thrown in there, but not because he's blowing the doors off in practices. But maybe when he has another month and preseason games under his belt, he starts to look more like the safety net option. And we know this team has always tried to make Landon Young happen.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen it yet, but he's another guy that's getting those opportunities anyway.
Very interesting to see what happens with the line this season. Udo, he spoke on the podium today, and he was kind of talking about, like, I'm just doing whatever the coaches are telling me to do, what position that is, both guard spots, tackle, just anywhere he could see himself getting on the field.
Hold up, before we go, I got a great tweet. I got a great tweet from somebody, and I want to shout it out the right way. So at Sean the Martian _ replied to a tweet about Justin Simmons. He had the shot from the college football game, the recruiting section of it, and he said, "Send the house 50 points, spend 50 tokens on it."
That's right. That's right.
All-out press. You got to.
That's right.
You got to get to recruit. I think that's where it's at. I think you got to do that. You aren't contacting friends and family.
No.
You aren't sending DMs.
No.
You aren't social media spying. Like,
None
it
of
is
that.
time. It is time to send the house, and they are. They got everybody going to dinner.
Yeah.
We'll see how they do.
Yeah. No, you letting whatever you got to do. If you got to bring Lambos on campus, if you got to go knock on their door.
This was a Lambo guy?
Whatever. Whatever you got to do. You got to send the house to get them in there.
I mean, I bet Bowers would throw something on it.
Hey.
If you got to get a new car, make sure you check him out. Best car buying experience in the whole entire galaxy. Dude out here that makes the electric cars is trying to send people to Mars. Bowers would be the best car dealer out there, too.
See what I'm saying? This is why you got to rock with NewOrleans.Football, because we send you to the best people. That'll do it for this episode. Overtime is next. Appreciate y'all. Check you next time.